What effect will the Ukraine conflict have on the housing market? You're definitely going to want to watch this one. There is a serious situation happening on the border of Ukraine and Russia right now, and there will be some economic impacts. We've already seen it. Before the sanctions were levied against Russia for the invasion in Ukraine, we saw the 10-year Treasury drop 12 basis points. So mortgage rates, as a result, came down right away because of that, and that was towards the end of February. Now we've got a Fed meeting coming up on March 15th and 16th. Anytime there's a global conflict, there will be economic implications in the market. We see it happen all the time. It happened with COVID-19. It happened after 9/11. This has happened throughout history. And when the markets react, typically there is a movement in mortgage rates. So we did see mortgage rates pull back towards the end of February from that just above 4% range to just under 4% because the 10-year Treasury dropped, the yield came down, and so did rates. So moving forward, the Fed has their big meeting coming up on the 15th and 16th. And this has been a major talking point. The Fed has been pounding the table that we will be raising rates, we will be hiking rates, because they're concerned about inflation. Inflation in January came in at 5.2%, which is way ahead of the threshold or the target that the Fed set of 2%. Jerome Powell, the chairman, came out and said the end of last week that we still need to raise rates and combat inflation, even though there's a situation happening in the Ukraine right now that will have an effect on markets. So because of all that, and the Cleveland Fed chairperson, her name is Loretta Meister, she came out on CNBC this past week and said the same thing, that we need to hike rates because inflation is getting out of control, even though there's a global conflict happening. And the way inflation has been hitting people the most, or that it's been on their radar the most, I should say, is at the gas pump, because there is nothing more price sensitive than gas. People go up to the pump, they see the exact price they're going to pay on the pump, then they pay it and say, wow, last week it was 50 cents lower, or whatever the change is going to be. So inflation has definitely been happening. Look at what went on with the consumer price index through January. It was up 7.2%, the highest increase year over year we've seen since 1982. So inflation is definitely an issue. And the big question is the Fed going to raise rates, or are they going to pull back? Because that's what's going to affect the market. So here's what I know. The Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, came out and said, maybe we're going to hike rates at 0.25% instead of 0.5%. And what I anticipate happening here is rates will be increased by the Fed. There's no question there. There might be some hesitation at the meeting coming up on the 15th and 16th. We don't know when this conflict's going to be over. Could be over in a week, could be over in a month. We have no idea, and that's the variable here. What I anticipate happening is the Fed does make some change because inflation has been a constant talking point. 5.2% is more than double where the Fed wants inflation to be. So moving forward, the Ukraine conflict, I do not see it slowing down the housing market. Fortunately for a lot of people in the US, it's not affecting them directly unless they have family over there. And that's how some people think, right or wrong. This isn't political, this is what's going to happen in the market. I don't see the conflict slowing down the market. I see the Fed making a rate increase at the next meeting. It might be a smaller one, and continuing with their strategy. And until housing inventory comes up, that demand's not going away. So while it's a concerning situation, there are real implications, especially on gas prices and on inflation. The housing market, I see that moving along as it has been since May of 2020. You're definitely going to want to watch this one.